Hey drinking buddies, thanks for joining me again today for part 2 of the Core Crusher 2000. This part of the floor series is going to feature a lot of side plank movements as well as some side lying movements and some seated arm and upper back movements. You will at some point at the very end need some yoga blocks. You might not have yoga blocks, and that's okay. If you have a couple of hardcover books handy, take off the dust jacket first because you will slide on it, and I know this from experience. You're welcome. If you have blocks, I like the 4-inch foam kind. If you're more than 200 pounds, the 4-inch cork kind would probably be a better fit for you. If you only have the skinny 3-inch blocks, that's fine. Anything will work, any port in a storm, or you can just skip the damn thing. So we're going to start in all four so that we can come into a side plank variation. I'm going to give you the sort of the baby bear first because a lot of people will prefer it. You'll come out into a supported side plank, so we'll open up to your right first. This means your left hand will be on the floor, your left knee will be on the floor, and your right leg will be extended, and you'll bring your right fingertips to your shoulder, point the elbow up toward the ceiling, crunch it down toward the floor, and open and close like so. If you like, you can absolutely do this from a full side plank, but you're going to come onto your left forearm instead. Crunch it down, bring it up. Crunch it down, bring it up. We'll do 5 more on this side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll change sides. So I'm trying to stay facing the camera, so I'm changing sides on my mat. You don't have to do that. 10 of these. Five more to go. So from here, you're going to come into Vishnu's couch. If you want to know why it's called that, just Google the Hindu myth of Vishnu. That's V-I-S-H-N-U. You're going to come out into a full side plank. And I noticed that your nose only itches when you can't get to it. So for Vishnu's couch, you come into a side plank. You're going to put most of your weight on your back foot. Grab your front big toe with your index and middle finger and kick your foot up and out. So this might need to happen with a strap. And just bring it down and change it out. Again, I'm going to have to change in kind of a clunky way. That gives you more time to towel off or have some water if you like, or scratch your nose. Side plank. Get your knee as close to your shoulder as you can. That way you can grab onto your big toe, kick it up and out. Keep your hips nice and high. They're going to want to fall. So you're pressing your hips up and forward. From here, we're going to take a side plank elbow to knee. So this is a good alternative to Vishnu's couch, should you choose to take it rather. You just take your arm up overhead and crunch your knee and your elbow together. And on the other side, knee and elbow together is sort of relative. They just go in the general direction of each other, starting at 10. Nice. Your obliques should be feeling that. We'll now take a side plank with hip dips. So my friends who have QL problems, this is not going to be a very good choice for you, so don't do it, or modify it as best you can. Side plank, you can put your hand on your hip if you like. You're just gonna dip and lift. Dip and lift. 3 more. And the other side. And release. Coming now, plank to starburst or starburst pulse. This is another alternative to the snooze couch. You can be on a forearm or a block. I don't recommend being on gorilla fist for this one, because if you roll, it's not going to feel good. So, again, you have one foot crossed over the other. Starburst, and then just take a pulse. And the other side. 10 taps. And 9 is just as good as 10 in case I lose count. Release. So, we're now going to go from chaturanga to side plank, and we will be alternating. So the way my microphone is placed when I'm facing the fireplace, you might not be able to hear me very well, but I'm in a really echoey room, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me reasonably well, at least well enough to follow the cues. So, you can do the chaturangas and the side planks on your knees, and because I have a lot of work left to do, that's what I'm going to do. You don't have to. So, chaturanga, side plank, chaturanga, side plank. We'll take 3 more on each side. So, we're taking a side plank to just a noon arm raise. So, you kind of go from plank, the balls of your feet on the floor, pivot on the balls of your feet, noon arm. Plank to side plank. And you're just shifting again on the balls of your feet. Your feet aren't ever leaving the floor. This is either 5 6, and release. Have yourself a little water break or a towel down. We're coming onto the side to work into the lower body and the upper back. I feel like my product placement here, the champagne and chakras, the drinking water. I know you like that. So, we're going to start with the Fabio. And the Fabio, I have to have notes because I'm old and can't remember shit. So the Fabio has you on your right elbow, your right forearm. You're on your right hip. You're going to extend your right leg out, and you're going to bring your left foot out in front of that, crossed over. The foot's flat to the floor. The knee is pointed at the ceiling, and the arm is draped in a seductive fashion. Now we're going to flex your right foot. Pull in with your belly so that your obliques help to lift the weight of your leg, and release. The belly is in, the belly is relaxed. 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and switch. The left forearm or elbow, the left foot is extended, the right foot is flat, the knee is pointed at the ceiling. The belly comes in and the foot comes up. The belly relaxes, the foot comes down. 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So again, I'm going to flip around. It's just easier for me to not get confused this way, so I understand if you would like to just stay on your left side and continue from there. That's fine. The yoga police aren't going to come get you if you want to do that. So now we're going to take the abductor pulse. So we're working into this outside of the thigh and the glutes, and these muscles help to support your obliques. So you bring your foot out so that it's in line with your hip. Your foot can't be lower than your hip because that'll pull on your sacrum. So we're going to go hip height and above. Just a big pulse here. And I'm not where I can watch seconds on a clock, so I'm going to go by my breathing. So we might have some differences from one side to the other, but you'll be in pain either way, so don't worry too much about it. Breaths on the other side. So again, the leg has to be at hip height. It cannot go any lower than that, or you will screw up your QL and your sacrum. Taking it back to the other side. Mermaids. This is really, really, really going to work into your obliques. You're going to feel that your hip flexors are going to get marshaled to help lift your legs. Your legs on average are 35 pounds each. So on average, you're lifting about 70 pounds of dead weight just using your core. So your feet will kind of naturally come out a little bit ahead of you, and that's to keep you balanced and on the fleshy part of your hip. If you're real bony, you might need a blanket under your hip for this. So it's like a mermaid flipping her tail. You're going to pull in with your belly, lift with your feet, relax your belly, relax your feet. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yoga break dance time. Hey. And 15 on the other side. In with the belly, lift with the legs. In with the belly, lift with the legs. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. From here, we're coming up to seated. So again, if you'd like to have some water, now is the time to do that. It would be a good opportunity to towel off, and if you haven't already yet, go grab some books or blocks. It's such a shame you don't have champagne and chakras water. I'll see what I can do about that for you. The first thing we're going to do is windmill breath. The fingertips come to the shoulders, the elbows come out to the sides, and to your pace and range of motion, you're just going to twist from side to side. Now, I have a natural tendency, and a lot of people do, I can stay like this for a long time, but after a while, once I start to fatigue, I'll end up taking my shoulders and elbows down and up, and there's nothing wrong with that. It actually works you a little bit harder, gets your heart rate up a little bit higher, but I usually don't recommend it. I also don't recommend it, but in particular I don't recommend it because it's just a little bit easier to strain your lats that way. So if you can, try to keep your elbows straight out to the side, but if you need to use your elbows for momentum or you want that little extra bit of work in the shoulder girdle and lats, go for it. No one is stopping you. So I'm always telling my classes that this is really one-stop shopping for your whole torso. You're using your upper back to keep your elbows wide. You're also working your obliques and stretching your obliques. You're also working your spinal erectors and stretching your spinal erectors. And the front part of your body is always talking to the back part of your body. So if you have trouble with your QLs or your erectors spinae, for example, it could be, not always, but it could be that your obliques aren't doing enough of the work that they should be doing. It could be that your back is having to do its job plus whatever your obliques weren't doing for you. So by strengthening your obliques, you have the possibility of alleviating some lower back pain. From here, we're coming into something I had a student name neurotic flight attendant. So to all my flight attendant friends out there, don't blame me for the name of this. Good. We'll bring it to center. So index and middle fingers are together. You point them at one another in front of the chest, and then you take them out to the side. Kids, it's really important that you can see your fingers in your peripheral vision. You don't want your arms way back here because you're going to blow out your elbow. You go to your pace and your range of motion. When you take the arms wide, you really want to squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. So keep going. I'm just going to point out some things that you'll notice. Your traps might be working, but we don't want your shoulders to come up. Keep them pulled down your back. You're going to feel your biceps working as your hands come in. Your deltoids are keeping your arms parallel to the floor, and you're working in through the pecs lats, traps, rhomboids on the back side. So you can keep this up for a really good long while. It's deceptive. Your arms on average are about 15 pounds each, so you're manipulating about 30 pounds off the side of your frame right now. And your deltoids are really doing a lot of the lifting, and your arms and upper back are sort of doing the rest of the movement for you. But again, those shoulders try to sneak up towards the ears because many of us are accustomed to using our upper trapezius muscles, the fleshy part of our shoulders on the upper back, to do work that our upper body isn't able to do or doesn't feel able to do or has been deactivated, and just lets the stronger, bossier muscles take over. So again, you don't have to be going as quickly as I am, but if you want to get your heart rate up, you can follow along with me as best you can. The next thing we're taking after this are the Satnams. And I won't be doing the Satnam chant for this video, although you are entirely welcome to do it if you like. Satnam is sort of thought of as a variation of Namaste. It's sort of like ultimate truth is a Satnam. And it really doesn't work for a lot of people if you have bicep tendonitis or if you have any kind of rotator cuff issues, because we're moving from the shoulder, there's overhead movement. So if the Satnams are not for you today, you can always come back to your good old friend, the neurotic flight attendant that we all know and love so very well. And I know that we're not done yet with this neurotic flight attendant. I just wanted to give you something to look forward to by telling you about the Satnams, because they are coming. So a lot of people don't realize that your upper back is a big, big part of overall core strength, because you need to have the good posture in order for your core to be engaged. So a lot of us have weak upper backs because our hands are always in front of our face to drive, to type, to read, to cook. Our eyes are in front of our face, so that's where our hands have to be so we can see what we're doing. All that means is that our muscles across the upper back get really long. And then when they're flexed like this, it's a different thing for them. They're not really accustomed to it. And it really makes a difference having good, strong upper back muscles. Again, keeping your shoulders over your hips is one of the key ingredients of your posture. And if you have good posture, you have good core strength, almost all of the time. The Satnams, still index and middle fingers, but now they're going to tap the floor on either side of you, and without bending your elbows too much, they're going to tap over your head. So not over the crown of your head, but out where you can see them. Again, just in your peripheral vision. Without looking up, you can see your fingertips. So they go down and they go up. So I always tell my classes, you're not doing semaphore, and you're not bringing the plane in for landing. This is not what we are doing. Your elbows bend minimally, if at all. You are moving from the shoulder girdle. So you're really going to feel those lats engage all along the sides, rhomboids, traps. Again, your deltoids are really involved in this one. And there's some pronation. You're sort of twisting your arms as you come up as well. But again, this is quite a lot. 15 pounds moving on this little shoulder girdle. So if you're having any kind of popping or clicking sensation, that is typically a bicep tendon rolling over one of the bones, and it's making a sort of a snapping sound. If it doesn't hurt you or bother you, keep going. But if there's pain associated with it, stop. You can always go back to neurotic flight attendant. And sometimes you're going to miss your fingertips above your head. It's a little bit embarrassing, like when you go to high-five somebody and miss. We've all been there, haven't we? Just me? Okay. If you did want to do the Satnam chant, Sat is here, Nam is here. Satnam, Satnam. I started that sentence too late and got off, so I'm sorry I demonstrated poorly. From here, we're coming into lion's breath. So your arms are out like goalposts, the palms face each other. Now you're going to leave the arms exactly like this and move from the shoulder girdle. You're never going to do this. If you do this, you'll get a visit from the tendonitis fairy, and that bitch don't bring money. So, above the head, you'll cross your wrists and back. Alternate and back. So you're not up here above the crown of your head, because that really will tear up your shoulder. It's out in front of your head, to your pace. But notice how the elbows are never ever straightening. So your pecs are really involved here, and again, all the muscles in the upper back. Really important for your balance, posture, and core strength. It sort of looks like you're waving in surrender, and if you actually are doing that, you're welcome just to take a break whenever you need to. From here, let's take the deltoid pulse. So you bring your arms out parallel to the floor. Make sure you're not scrunched up in your shoulders. You want to keep the shoulders down away from the ears, and just a gentle pulse. And your belly should pull in each time your hands press down, and you're squeezing your shoulder blades together behind you. So again, you're really feeling your upper back work, and you're really feeling these deltoid muscles. It's sort of like an upside down pear shape. And their job is to lift your arms away from your body. So, you know, a lot of us who have a sedentary lifestyle, or we have to do a lot of sitting, typing, driving, reading for our day jobs and so forth, your deltoid doesn't really get out very much. So it's good just to let it have some playtime. These are also the muscles that look really good when you're wearing short sleeves or a sleeveless item of some kind. So it's always a good idea to say hello to them, just for pretty. Now this is something that's going to work the upper back as well, but its main function is to work all three heads of your triceps. A lot of machines at the gym only work 2 of the 3 heads at once, so you have to get on 2 machines to work a 3-headed muscle. And this is just one-stop shopping. It's the tricep squeezes. So you're going to take your hands behind you, your palms face the ceiling, then you'll bring your fingertips toward the ceiling like you're making little crab claws, and you start to squeeze your hands towards and away from one another. You keep your hands as high up behind you as they can. The weight of your arms is going to start to pull your wrists down towards your hips, and you want to keep your hands as high as you can. Fight that urge as best you can. The next really super important thing to remember is you need to keep your chin parallel to the floor. So many people will tuck their chin to the chest when they do this, and all that is doing is asking your upper trapezius muscles to take over the work, and that's not where we're wanting to work. Most people are, strong in their upper trapezius muscles, and a lot of people are overly strong in their upper trapezius muscles, so they really don't need any more work than what we've already been giving them by allowing them to do the work that our biceps and triceps should be doing. We're moving into more traditional core work. After this, things you might recognize more as core work, but again, I want to stress the importance of the upper back and the inner and outer muscles of your arms and legs as helping to stabilize and help your core do that work. And release. Let's just roll the shoulders up, back, and down really quickly so that you don't lose the will to live or turn to a different video, for those of you who are still with me. And release. The next thing we're going to take is the hars. And you don't have to make the har sound if it makes you feel foolish or if that's just not your deal. I will do it because it can be hard to see. And as we progress into this, you'll see and feel less movement in your belly, so the sound is helpful for you to keep up with me. And you do sort of sound ridiculous, and it's okay. Hopefully you're home alone. What you'll do is you're gonna fill up your belly with air like a balloon, so your belly button's gonna travel away from you. And then you're gonna pull your belly button in and up like a J shape, or like you're scooping something. So you're pulling your belly button in toward your backbone. So you fill, it's like a belly laugh. You fill up your belly with air, and then you pull your belly in and up, and then that's when the har sound gets made. It's kind of a cross between har and hud. And this is coming to us from the Kundalini tradition. And har is an adjective that they use as sort of a praise adjective. And I have a student who says that when you get going with it, it sounds like you're saying, I've had it, I've had it, I've had it. So you can say that too if you like. You can have your hands at your knees. That's where a lot of beginners like to start, so they can focus on that J shape. Or you can come with me, and you can have your arms up overhead, the fingers interlaced, and the index fingers released. And begin. And release. We're next doing the box kicks or the can-can. You can do both, and I recommend doing both, but if you have super long legs, you're probably only going to do the can-can. Let me give you the box kicks first, just in case. So you're going to take your box twist. One foot is tucked in, the other foot is tucked back, and you're gonna bring your arms out in front of you like a boxer or a kangaroo or one of those little punching nun dolls, and you're gonna pull down with your belly and kick your back foot forward. Bring your front foot to meet it, so it's like you're in a boat pose here, and then you're gonna change sides. So pull down with the belly, kick that back foot forward, bring the front foot to meet it, and switch. So out and in and in. Out and in and in. If you've got super long legs, that probably isn't gonna work for you. So you come into a boat pose. Onto one hip, kick your knees out straight, and bring it to center. So you can be doing either the box kicks or the can-can, or you can alternate, spend a little time in the box kicks, spend a little time in the can-can. I'll go back to the box kicks. That's where I like to be. So remember, again, those legs are about 35 pounds, so your belly is having to pull down and lift. Your quads are really helping, your hip flexors are also involved, your whole body really, but our main focus is using your belly to lift the weight of your leg. That's our primary objective. If you get really mad at your blocks, you can just kick them out of your way too. I find that block placement and water bottle placement are often the hardest parts of the class, so if you're a beginner, have no fear. That's really the worst of it. My favorite thing is those metal water bottles. I think they're, the Swell company makes them. And in the Shavasana, when we're all like quiet and ooey-gooey, and someone takes their arms up overhead to stretch and just knocks that fucker over. It's like someone coming in and smashing cymbals. And it's really fun as the teacher because my eyes are open during Shavasana and everyone just kind of levitates. And I feel very accomplished, like I'm so spiritual I made my class levitate, even though it was just a falling water bottle. See how I'm distracting you from how awful this is? And you can stop now, because we're going to do something more awful. It's called triangles and rectangles. You're going to use your core to hold your back straight, even though we really are working mostly in your quads. You're going to take your hands behind your back. It's really important that you're not sinking down into your shoulders. So the hands come behind your back. Just imagine there's a string at the center of your chest that's lifting you up. You're going to pick up one foot, doesn't matter which. We're going to do triangles first. So flex your foot, kick it out across your knee, draw a line, and bring it in. So you're just drawing a triangle in the air with your heel. This is 5. Here's 10. And change. And I'll have you know that often in class we do triangles and rectangles on each side before we switch. So you get a bit of a break on this one. Out, across, and in. Here's 3, 4, 5, 10. 15. Rectangles. So you're still in the same position, but you're going to point your toes, leave your knee out straight. And you're going to draw a rectangle in the air in front of you. Up, out, over, and up. Just a rectangle. Here's 5. And 10. Change sides. Rectangles put a little bit more pressure on the hip flexor, so I always like to do fewer rectangles than triangles. You're welcome. I have one smart-ass student that asked which way your rectangles are supposed to go, and I'm making horizontal rectangles, but if you'd like to be a rebel, you can make them vertical. But do make sure that they are rectangles and not ovals. Let's take 3 more. And bring that in. So now we're going to take half boat ups or boat toe taps. So I'm going to turn to the side. For your half boat up, and I like to cross my ankles during boat, most people don't, and so you certainly don't have to. So we're in boat pose, we're on the sitting bones, not the sacrum, we're pulling up at the chest, and then we go halfway down and back in. Halfway down and back in. And bring it down. The boat toe taps are another option. I know we just worked our quads, so you might like to just stick with the half boat ups if you would like. Your arms are up overhead and your feet are on the floor. Then you'll come into a full boat pose with straight knees and the arms will come down parallel to the floor. It looks like this. And release. I was just realizing how lovely I breathe when I don't have music to cover it up. So the next thing we're going to do is Tibetan table and Tibetan toe taps, and then if you haven't already, we'll grab your blocks or your books to take the prep for firefly. But let's do Tibetan table first. It won't work if you have bad wrists or shoulders, so as an alternative, you can take breathing bridges instead. For Tibetan table and the Tibetan toe taps, you bring your feet flat to the floor, the knees pointed at the ceiling, and then your hands come behind you. The palms face your hips. Some people will ask me, can I put my fingers facing out? Yes, but it's not ideal. Try it towards your hips, and only if that can't work, then take your hands out. It's just so easy for your hands to get out from underneath you. So you're never going to drop your head back. That will cause you to pass out. So keep your chin tucked. We'll know if you didn't follow the rules. So you're going to pull down with your belly, squeeze your cheeks, push into your heels, and lift yourself up parallel to the floor, and bring it down and up. There's 5. And here's 15. And release. So if that works and you want to add to that, you can take a Tibetan table with a toe tap, but if you feel like one wrist is really weak or one's a lot more stable than the other, stick with keeping both hands on the floor. That's so much safer. We don't want to risk a compound fracture. Okay, so you come into Tibetan table, you'll kick one foot up and you'll reach to touch your toe with your opposite hand. It looks like this. And down. Lift. Tap, and down. Remember, you're lifting all of your body weight, so if you're really muscular, you have a lot of body mass, it could be hard. Good. And come down. And now, taking your blocks, we'll do the prep. There's 2 different levels of prep for firefly. And I really don't like firefly so much because it tends to bother my back. And for most people who have QL problems or a sensitive QL, that's true. You can put your palms on the block so that your fingers are sort of clutching the front or out through center, but again, fingers out to the side only after you've truly exhausted the possibility that you can take your fingertips forward. So you want to make sure you're nice and steady. Do not be on the mama bear of your blocks or the papa bear of your blocks. You will break your arm. You must be at baby bear with your blocks or your books. Please again, take the dust jackets off. You will slide. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift up with your PC muscle. So you're gonna pull the genitals up off of the floor. You're gonna hold, almost like you're trying not to use the bathroom. Pull up, pull in with your belly, and we're gonna lift your weight off of the floor, and you're gonna hold the weight of your upper body in your belly. So you're gonna push into your blocks, and then lift your feet. Slurp your belly. You can come down if you need to. And some people will be able to get their hips up off the floor if you've got really long legs. Your ankles or feet are probably going to drag at least a little bit. So again, you can stack books 4 to 6 inches. These are 4-inch blocks. If 4 inches isn't high enough, try the 6-inch, see what happens. But it's okay if your feet dangle on the floor. Again, your PC muscle and your core are holding most of this weight. If you need to work on your PC muscle, especially women who've delivered a baby vaginally, you might need to work with some Benoit balls. You can get them at sex shops or Amazon. Just insert them vaginally or rectally, and they're weighted balls, and you just hold them in your body by using your PC muscle. So if this is hard for you, a way to work into this is to use the Benoit balls. So this is sort of the baby bear to get into firefly. And I'm going to sort of turn to the side slightly so that you can see the mama bear. And this is where you will want to grip your fingers on the outside of the blocks. So what you'll do is you'll get the blocks behind your heels. And you're going to take your hands in between your feet. If you take your hands on the outside of your legs, you're just going to fall down and again, risk potential fracture. They go in between. Your hands go in between. Your hands go in between your feet. And then they come onto the blocks, and you're going to sit your thighs on the backs of your elbows. Again, lifting with that PC muscle, pulling your genitals up in toward your belly button. And then you'll point your toes. And you can squeeze your legs onto your elbows. So the mistake most people make is that they won't lean far enough forward. So the same is true for crow. You know, you can always tuck and roll if you need to, or you've got enough weight back there, you can just roll back onto your sitting bones, and that's fine. So I'll demonstrate it again so you can see where we're going. And again, I'm not going to demonstrate firefly because it just bothers my back, and I just don't feel like it. So, hands in between. Hands in between. If hands are on the outsides, we break arms. Hands go in between your legs. Bend your elbows, bend your knees. Fingers are on the front of the blocks. Blocks are in baby bear. You get your thighs on the backs of your arms. Just pick up one foot today. You don't have to pick up both feet. If you want, pick up the other foot. Squeeze your thighs to your elbows. And if you fall, just get your arms out of the way, and that's it. So, we've got 2 more videos in the Core Crusher 2000. I hope you'll join me for them both. Rock out with your core out.